Alright, so Dricus Du Plessis was robbed on the judges' scorecards last night. Nah, I'm playing. Khamzat steamrolled him. Oh boy, if you want me to be honest, I have a lot of mixed feelings about not only how last night went, but how the Khamzat title era is going to be for fans. Don't get me wrong, there is not a shred of doubt in my mind that he is the best middleweight in the world right now, but what I am skeptical about is, am I going to enjoy watching Chimaev be champion? I'm not going to write him off quite yet because I've been a fan of the sport long enough to know that people can always surprise you, but I do think that Khamzat has given us enough reason over the last few years to at least have some concerns about the quality of his title reign. And yeah, in this video, I'm going to be talking about all this and more. But first, let's talk about the fight itself. No point in going round by round for this one because every single round looked exactly the same. I really wasn't confident either way on who I thought was going to win, but some of you may remember me saying in a previous video that I was picking DDP because I thought that if he survived the first round, then I could see him start to take over the fight. But lo and behold, he survived the first round, and yet the next 4 rounds were every bit as dominant in favor of Khamzat. Yeah, in hindsight, I definitely feel dumb for saying what I said, but in my defense, we have seen Khamzat slow down both times he had to fight beyond the first round. He slowed down against Gilbert Burns, but that fight was at welterweight, so maybe that could be attributed to Chimaev cutting a lot of weight, but he got tired when he fought Kamaru Usman at middleweight, so I really do feel like thinking he'd get worn out against DDP wasn't an unreasonable thing to believe. This was really the best we've ever seen this guy look. Like, it was complete and utter dominance from start to finish against a guy who's repeatedly shown he can fight back from adversity. Does this fight have the record for longest time spent in crucifix position? I'm assuming it has to be. Out of 25 total minutes of the fight, at the very least 5 full minutes were Khamzat crucifying DDP. Did he deal highly impactful damage from this position? Not really. I mean, towards the end, he started landing some pretty solid elbows, I guess, but it's the fact that he was able to get back to the crucifix even after he made it obvious it was something he was looking for, which really impresses me.
That's just to have fun with my friends. I take them in this position, like holding them 25 minutes, 1 hour sometimes. They let them have so make them humble. Some guys, like, nobody can take me down, hold me down. So I take them to the gym, hold them down there with this position. So yeah, I does this a lot.
And after having watched this guy fight in the UFC for years now, it blows my mind that even though every single person that fights Chimaev knows exactly what he's going to do each fight, nobody can do anything to stop it. He is going to shoot a takedown in the first 20 seconds of the fight, and it doesn't matter how prepared his opponents are for it, he's taking their ass to the ground. He's like fucking Thanos, dude. He's inevitable. And even though this was by far the longest he's ever had to fight, he wasn't even kind of tired by the end of it. He forced DDP to fight in his world for 5 rounds, and based on how he looked after it was all over, he probably could have gone another 5 rounds no problem. This is up there for one of the most dominant wins by a title challenger in UFC history. It's up there with Usman versus Woodley, RDA versus Pettis, and Strickland versus Adesanya for sure. And although stats don't tell the full story of a fight, they definitely tell the story for this one. Strike differential, takedown effectiveness, and control time are all comically lopsided in favor of Khamzat. This was such a generationally dominant performance to the point where it makes me wonder how long Chimaev would have been champ by now if he wasn't sidelined for so long in recent years. Now, with all that very justified glaze out of the way, I did not have fun watching this fight. And don't hit me with, oh, you just don't like wrestlers. If you don't like wrestling, then watch Muay Thai. Dude, I wrestled all 4 years in high school. I love wrestling. And I think even the most devout Khamzat haters could probably agree that even if they don't enjoy watching wrestling, historically his performances are much better to watch than your run-of-the-mill lay and pray guys. Before last night, I've never watched this guy fight and thought to myself, this was a boring performance, but I really found myself getting bored in this one. Like I said earlier, I have mixed feelings about all of this because obviously when you're dominating a fight the way that Chimaev was, and if your opponent has 0 defense against your bare bones game plan, then what's the point of taking unnecessary risks? Especially when you consider that the extent of DDP's corner advice was avoid the crucifix. Like, wow, coach, you don't say. Why didn't I think of that? My bad, dog. I totally thought I was winning the fight by being here. Seriously, when even your opponent's coach doesn't know how to escape or even avoid the techniques that you're trying to work, then why do anything differently? I fully acknowledge that Chimaev was smart for sticking to his game plan. I fully acknowledge that this was a masterful performance in terms of control time, but I still thought it was boring.
If you guys don't want to watch grappling and wrestling and jiu-jitsu, don't watch UFC. Don't. Go watch One Championship. Go watch Lion Fighting. Go watch Glory. Go watch kickboxing. Go watch Muay Thai. Right? Like, it's very simple. You guys are complaining about something that it's a very simple problem to fix. It's a very simple problem to fix. For example, let's say Khamzat's about to fight again. You don't want to watch a style. All you gotta do is go like this. You see this button right here? It's called off button. You just go like this. You go off. You don't have to see Khamzat wrestle. It's a very simple problem to have. It's a very simple problem to fix, guys. You guys are making it a bigger deal than it is.
Listen, this is not me dismissing Khamzat's skills, and this is definitely not me declaring that I'm no longer a fan of the guy, but I guess I'm just accustomed to this same level of dominance where it usually ends in a quick and violent submission. It's not Khamzat's fault that Du Plessis' takedown defense was not even close to where it needed to be, and it's not Khamzat's fault that DDP is a novice on the ground compared to him, but it would have been nice to see him put his foot on the gas a little bit more, that's all I'm saying. Dude, I don't think Khamzat's gonna lose the belt for a very long time. In fact, I think for the foreseeable future, the only way that he loses the title is if he himself vacates and retires. Who is beating this guy? Nasruddin Imavov, Caio Borralho? Because looking at every single ranked guy at middleweight, I don't see anybody that I would pick to beat him. I suppose RDR can make things interesting maybe, but frankly I doubt it. At this point, I feel like I have more than enough data to confidently say that Chimaev is gonna run the block for as long as he wants, unless some crazy unicorn type of guy shows up out of nowhere who's not only huge, athletic, has great boxing, and a world-class offensive guard. In a division where a majority of the ranked guys are strikers, almost all of these guys are completely screwed if they get matched up with him. And honestly, the mixture of him being stylistic kryptonite for like 95% of his division on top of his pretty lackluster strength of schedule leads me to believe he's going to be the champ for a while, which leads me to my biggest concern with Khamzat's title reign. I am not at all confident that this guy is going to be a very active champion. For the most part, active contenders tend to be the more active champions. I can't even think of a single case that stands out to me where an inactive challenger all of a sudden started fighting more frequently after winning the belt. I'm hoping that I'm wrong about this, but I worry that Chimaev's going to be one of those bullshit ass champions that defend once a year. Looking at you, Zhang Weili. You might recall Dean Thomas recently saying this on if Khamzat became champion.
No, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. If Khamzat wins, it's a disaster, actually.
But I don't know.
I mean, some of these guys are just habitual in terms of not making it to the dance. If he does show up and he does win, do we trust him to be able to fight again? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. Is like, can he do it twice, 2 or 3 times? Because we need movement. Like, I hate when it's just like static, when there's no movement in these divisions. And in order for there to be movement in the divisions, the champions have to fight. We need to have movement. And if you're a champion and you're not willing to fight regularly or when they need you to, it's bad for the division. It's bad for the sport, actually.
Look, I don't agree that we're absolutely in a disastrous situation now that Khamzat's champion, but I can definitely see this becoming a disastrous situation. I don't think that Chimaev is going to magically start fighting 3 times a year again now that there's so much more stakes that come with him losing. In my opinion, if Khamzat ends up defending twice a year, I would consider that a minor miracle. Sure, I found his win last night boring, but I'd still rather watch 2 title defenses that look like that every year than just one. Hey, my favorite fighter of all time is GSP, and I really wouldn't say that any of his title defenses really were certified bangers by any stretch of the imagination, but I still found the showcase and skill interesting to watch. And unlike Dean Thomas, I'm not going to write off Khamzat without at least giving him a chance to prove me wrong, but that's exactly the point. If he defends his title twice a year consistently, that would be a surprise to me. I do not like the fact that I'm expecting him to be an inactive champion. I don't like the fact that I fully expect him to ghost us for 9 months only to reappear for 1 fight in the second half of the year. I hope I'm wrong with my expectations for this guy, but the rational part of me says that I'm right. And before I sign off, I would just like to give a eulogy to the DDP title era because this guy was a champion unlike anything we've ever seen in modern MMA. The way this dude fights inspired an entire generation of drunks that they too can be a UFC champion if their plot armor was strong enough. A couple of months ago, I made a video where I called him an enigma, and for some reason, people immediately assumed that I was insulting him, but I stand by everything that I said in that video. It is an enigma that this guy won and defended a UFC title with his goofy fighting style. He fights like he learned how to box on a 1920s dockyard, and he was still able to climb to the very top of the sport. He has admitted several times that even he doesn't have any clue what he's doing. The guy is fun to watch, man, and the fact that he throws caution to the wind in every single one of his fights and treats all of his UFC outings like a life and death scenario turned me from a doubter to a big fan of the guy. That said, there is a literal 0% chance that this guy wins his title back as long as the middleweight champion is named Khamzat Chimaev. His skill set and his speed are so far below where he needs them to be in order to beat Khamzat, but the good news is there's no shortage of fun fights you can make with him against the other contenders in his division. DDP versus Imavov or Borralho sounds good, but if the UFC isn't racing to set up the pound-for-pound goofiest fight of all time between DDP and RDR, then I will riot. These two uncoordinated oafs squaring off in the octagon will convince millions of people watching that they too can be a top contender in the UFC if they drink enough alcohol and do enough Xanax. The DDP era was a whole lot of fun, and I'm really hoping that the Chimaev era can be a suitable successor. Anyways, that is the video for today. Definitely let me know what you think about Khamzat being the new champion. Is it actually a disaster that he now has the belt, and how often do you think he's going to defend his title? As always, if you like the video, then like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
And I think this is where this fight's going to come down to. Who's a bigger man? In my opinion, man, Chimaev's a weak man. I know he's made his entire career about being this big, scary boogeyman. But like, dude, you look at his history. Every time he's had a tough fight with a welterweight, there's always some fucking excuse. You know, I broke my hand. It's fucking Ramadan. The reason why I look like this is because this. Like, no, dude, it's because you got tested. And the test came back is like, you're not really that big, scary of a man.
Sean Strickland, your old friend, has been tweeting about you since the fight. He said that when you were in the gym together, he would actually out-wrestle you and be better than you in the wrestling over 4 rounds.
Bro, Dricus take him down many times, but how can he take me down, bro? Come on. This guy, I beat him everywhere and striking, but this guy just talk too much. So he's a funny guy. He's working with, what is his name? Buratino or what is it?
Yeah, Paulo Costa.
Paulo. I make them together.